Chapter 11. Dangerous Water. The hill moved by in the darkness. For a moment, the moon appeared from behind a cloud, and the water became like a sheet of silver. Go away, moon, said Ruth. Don't come out again until we have passed the village. The two canoes moved quickly on. Again the moon appeared, choosing the wrong moment because they were now passing the village. Ruth could see the shadows of the houses and the refuse lorries that were parked in rows. Looked out for the bridge, said Edek. He and Jan moved ahead and went under the mirror arch of the bridge. Ruth followed, aiming for the right-hand arch, but the canoe went into the slow-moving, shallow part of the river. The water was noisy, and Ruth did not hear feet walking across the bridge, but she saw a man's shadow on the water. The water is coming in, said Bronya. I can feel it under me. There was a sudden shout above them. A man began to wave. Ruth could not understand what he was saying, but then he put a leg over the side of the bridge and dropped down into the shallow water. He was an American soldier. Ruth tried to pull away, but the man caught her paddle and held in onto it. Ruth pulled hard, but the man held on to the paddle. She pulled and turned the paddle sharply, but still he held on. Then she let go of the paddle, and the soldiers fell backwards as the canoe was carried under the bridge and back into the fast-moving water. Someone was shouting at them. Now, from the bridge, Ruth pushed Bronya head down and looked around for another canoe. Then the moon went behind a cloud, and the dark night closed round her. The shooting stopped, but Ruth had no paddle now, and the water carried them whenever it wanted. Edek, Jan, shouted Ruth. They went round a bend and were pushed towards the right-hand side of the river. The water was quiet here, but the bottom of the canoe touched the ground and stopped. Ruth pulled her over the side and tried to push the canoe off the ground, but it didn't move. The sky began to get lighter, and she saw rocks in the water. We will have to get out and push, she said. Ruth and Bronya got out of the canoe and immediately began to move again. Ruth guided it towards a large rock, then pulled up onto some small dry stones that stood above the water. She lifted Bronya onto the rock. We must wait here until daylight, she said. They waited until the shadows of the night disappeared, and they could see the whole of the river. It was wide and broken, with hidden rocks in the middle, and there were more rocks in the shallows part of each side. There was no sign of Jan or Edek anywhere, and both girls felt lonely and frightened. Then Bronya saw something in the water near the rock she was sitting on. It's our father, she shouted. The water carried down to us. What a good luck. Now we can go on. Soon Ruth could see the rapids ahead of them, and she knew this was the most dangerous part of the river. Here the water moved very fast, hurrying between large rocks, some of them as high as houses. The noise filled their ears, and Bronya closed her eyes, but Ruth found she was almost too excited to be afraid. She threw her paddle from side to side, always turning away from the white, broken water where the sharp rocks lay hidden. It became a barrier between her and the wild river. but a quick touch with her father at the right moment was enough to shoot them safely past each rock. Then the river became wider, and once again there was trees on either side. The water slowed down, and Ruth realized that they had got through safe. She threw about Edek and Jan. Had they got through the rapids too? She laid back and watched the sky as Bronya slept. Then she herself became sleepy and closed her eyes. She woke up to find herself sitting in water. To her horror, she saw that the canoe had hit a rock in shallow water, and there was a large hole in the bottom. The hole was much too big to mend. She woke Bronya. We will have to leave the canoe and walk, she said. Bronya looked alarmed. Don't worry, it can be far to the Danube now. They walked through the trees to places where the river joined the Danube at Falkenburg. There were no trees here, only green fields, a dusty road, and a good view of the river. Ruth looked up and down, hoping to see Jan and Edek. There was unfinished haystack in one field. Ruth did not know that Jan and Edek had waited in the field all morning, hoping to see Ruth canoe come down the river. They had become tired and had to climb up on the haystack. First, Jan went to sleep while Edek watched the river. Then Jan watched the river. Edek slept. Now Ruth was passing the haystack when a half-eaten apple hit her on the shoulder. Then she heard a dog and found Ludwig jumping around her ankles. Where have you been? Jan's voice shouted from the top on the haystack. We thought you got in troubles on the rapids. He pushed the sleeping Edek, and the boy dropped to the ground in front of Ronia. They were all pleased to see each other again and told their stories. We lost our canoe on some rocks, said Edek. 100 meters away, American lorries crowded with Polish refugees moved along a dusty road, but the children were too busy laughing and talking even to notice them.